Have you ever wondered why some men in their 60s look and feel as if they are only 40, while others, reaching 40, already whisper to themselves, "This is the end"? It's not about heredity, luck, or the blue pills that only mask the problem without solving it. In fact, your erection is a reflection of the state of the vessels. If it has weakened, silence reigns inside. The silence of blood flow, the silence of desire, the silence of masculine power. But what if I say that the solution might be in your kitchen and cost only 30 rubles? Without a prescription, without advertising, just a white powder that grandmothers use for dough and doctors use to reduce inflammation. Yes, it's about soda, not as a miracle, but as a key to relaxation, improved blood flow, and feeling in control of your body. In this material, you will find no myths or social media hacks, only 2 proven methods of using soda that are usually kept secret but have been used for decades in urology offices. And yes, one of them you can try today until morning. What if the secret of male strength lies in your kitchen straw? Imagine waking up in the morning and instead of the usual heaviness in your abdomen, you feel lightness. Not from pills or expensive treatments, but from the 4th teaspoon of soda dissolved in a glass of warm water. Sounds like a fairy tale. Yet back in 1952, British urologists noticed that men regularly taking sodium bicarbonate for urinary tract inflammation unexpectedly began to complain of excess energy and desire. This is the story of Victor, an engineer from Yekaterinburg, who is 52 years old. After stress at work, his potency faded like a light bulb. The doctors assured him, "Everything is fine, it's just age." But one day he decided to try what his grandmother advised him, to drink water with baking soda on an empty stomach. 3 days later, the pressure in the perineum disappeared. A week later, he felt control again. It's a miracle, just chemistry. The soda relieved the acidic stress in the tissues, relaxed the pelvic muscles, and blood flowed again where it should. But there is a catch. If you overdo it, instead of lightness, you can feel nausea, so start small. And remember, soda is not a magic wand, but a key for your body to remember how to be strong. What if true strength lies not within, but outside? In warm water, where another way awaits you. Why do thousands of men remain silent about the most accessible way to regain potency? Because it's shameful. Yes, you heard it right. Not because it doesn't work, but because it's too simple. Imagine spending months on expensive supplements, consultations, and injections, while the solution lies in the kitchen cupboard for 30 rubles. Many remain silent not out of secrecy, but out of fear of appearing naive. But there is another reason. In 1978, Japanese researchers discovered it is the inflammation of the prostate that is the hidden enemy of potency. This is the story of Alexei from Krasnodar, a 40-year-old coach who lost interest after 2 weeks of stress. The doctors said, "Nothing serious, just rest." But he couldn't wait. He stumbled upon advice for sitz baths with soda and decided to try it. After 5 hours, the spasms in his groin disappeared. 10 days later, the feeling returned. "I am here. I am ready." And all this happened without pills, side effects, or advertising inserts. Just warm water, 2 tablespoons of soda, and a bit of silence. But what to do if you don't like taking baths? What if your body needs a different approach, deeper and more intimate? Can a small amount of white powder from the fridge change your personal life? Imagine coming home after a hard day, and even the thought of intimacy brings fatigue. It's not a lack of desire, but a feeling of blockage in the body. Now imagine that the solution to your problem is not in the pharmacy, but in a jar that you use for baking or cleaning in the refrigerator. In 1995, German urologists conducted a study. Men with chronic pelvic congestion who took weak alkaline solutions saw a 40% improvement in venous blood flow in 2 weeks. This is not magic, it's physiology. Alkaline relaxes smooth muscles and blood starts to flow again where it is needed. This is the story of Dmitry, 38 years old, a programmer from Novosibirsk. After months of sedentary work, he began to feel a constant pressure in his groin area. The doctor advised him to take baking soda baths. Dmitry was skeptical but decided to give it a try. By the 3rd evening, he noticed the tension leaving his body. After a week, he felt light again, and after 2 weeks, he regained his confidence. The main thing was that he didn't drink soda or use enemas, but simply spent 15 minutes in warm water with 2 spoons of powder. What if you've already tried baths, but the effect was minimal? Perhaps you missed one important nuance that almost no one talks about. Why don't urologists shout about this on screens, but advise their patients? Because baking soda is not a medicine. It does not bring profit to pharmaceutical companies, does not require a prescription, and does not participate in clinical trials with huge budgets. But in urologists' offices, it is a quiet ally. Doctors do not publicly advertise it, as they cannot guarantee results for everyone. However, in private conversations, they often say, try baking soda baths. It's safe and may help relieve symptoms. This is what a study at a Moscow clinic showed in 2016. Of 100 men with chronic pelvic pain syndrome receiving standard treatment, those who additionally took seats baths with soda noted improvement 50% faster. Let's consider the story of Igor, a 45-year-old from Samara. After suffering from prostatitis, he was left with a constant feeling of incomplete emptying and tension. The urologist quietly advised him, drink water with soda in the mornings and take evening baths. This is not a substitute for therapy, but it can provide support. 10 days later, Igor woke up for the first time in months without heaviness in his groin. Why is no one talking about this? Because the truth often turns out to be modest, and true strength lies in simplicity. But what if you've tried everything, even baking soda, and see no results? Perhaps you missed one hidden factor, without which even the purest alkali will be powerless. What happens in your body 10 minutes after you drink a glass of water with soda? Imagine you are consuming a glass of warm water with a quarter teaspoon of soda. At first, nothing happens, but after 10 minutes, your body begins a quiet yet significant transformation. Soda, entering the stomach, starts to neutralize excess acid, and then, through the bloodstream, gently affects the tissues in the pelvic area. It feels like opening a valve. Muscles, tense from many years of sedentary work and stress, begin to relax. In 1983, French physiologists noticed that in men, after consuming a weak alkaline solution, venous pressure in the prostate area decreased by 25% within 15 minutes. This is not an immediate erection, but a preparation for it. Here is the story of Ruslan from Ufa. He is 35 years old and works as a long-distance truck driver. After long months on the road, he began to feel discomfort, as if he had a stone in his groin. One morning, at the advice of a friend, he drank dissolved soda in water. After an hour, he noticed as if someone had turned off an internal spasm. 3 days later, he stopped waking up with a heaviness below. But the most amazing thing is that the effect accumulates. One glass is just a spark, but the course already turns into a flame. What if you drink soda correctly, but don't feel any changes? You may not know about an important condition, without which even the perfect dose will not be beneficial. Why does a simple bath with soda turn out to be more effective than expensive pills? The thing is, pills fight symptoms, while the bath addresses the cause. Many medications temporarily dilate blood vessels or stimulate nerves, but do not eliminate chronic tension in the pelvic muscles, that invisible pressure that restricts blood flow and suppresses desire. A warm soda bath penetrates deeper, relaxes, relieves spasms, and eliminates stagnation without chemicals or side effects. In 1999, in an Italian clinic, men with chronic pelvic pain syndrome were divided into two groups. One group received standard medications, while the other had daily sitz baths with soda. After 2 weeks, the second group showed an improvement in well-being 1.5 times greater. This is the story of Stanislav from Voronezh. He is 51 years old and was a soldier. After a back injury, he experienced constant discomfort in his groin. He tried various pills, but the effect lasted only a couple of hours. One day, his wife insisted, "Try a baking soda bath." That very evening, he felt as if a wall inside him had melted away. A week later, he stopped taking painkillers. But the most important thing is that the bath does not hide the problem. It allows the body to recover on its own. But what if you are doing everything right and still do not feel the results? Perhaps you do not pay attention to an important but often ignored factor. Where does the real cause of decreased potency lie, and how does soda deal with it? Many believe the problem lies in hormones, age, or stress, but the real enemy is stagnation in the pelvic area. Years of sedentary work, tense muscles, and chronic inflammation create a blockage that hinders blood circulation. Without adequate blood flow, there can be no erection, and here, soda comes to the rescue. It does not heal directly, but relieves acid stress in tissues, relaxes smooth muscles, and improves microcirculation. In 1987, Soviet urologists noted that patients with chronic prostatitis experienced a 30% reduction in prostate swelling after undergoing alkaline treatments without the use of antibiotics. This is the story of Oleg, who lives in Omsk. and works as an accountant. He is 42 years old. He had no serious illnesses, but his potency gradually waned. All tests were normal. The doctor advised, just try to relax your pelvis. Oleg started taking evening sitz baths with added soda. On the fourth day, he felt something inside him become lighter. After 2 weeks, he regained his spontaneous morning erection. Soda does not give strength. It only helps release the energy already within you. But what to do if you are doing everything right and your body does not respond? Perhaps you are missing one important factor that nullifies all efforts. How to avoid the main mistake that turns soda from a remedy into poison. The main mistake lies not in the dosage or method. The main mistake is ignoring the signals of your own body. Many, hearing about the miraculous properties, take a tablespoon of soda and wash it down with a liter of water. The result is nausea, weakness, sharp pressure, spikes, and disappointment. The urologist clearly warned in his speech, start with a quarter teaspoon only in the morning and only on an empty stomach. In 1991, a clinical report from the Soviet Ministry of Health described a case of a 56-year-old man who, in an attempt to speed up the effect, took 3 teaspoons of soda, which caused vomiting and arrhythmia, necessitating an ambulance call. This is not a medication, but a tool, and one must know how to use it properly. Now, the story of Artyom, who is 33 years old and works as a freelancer in Kaliningrad. He started with half a teaspoon, but by the second day he felt a burning sensation in his stomach. Instead of continuing, he stopped, waited 2 days and tried again, but with only a quarter of a teaspoon. After a week, he felt lightness in his lower abdomen, and after 2 weeks, the chronic heaviness from prolonged sitting disappeared. Soda is like fire. In skilled hands, it brings warmth, but in careless ones, it causes burns. But what if you try to be careful and still feel discomfort? Perhaps you have a hidden contraindication that you are not even aware of. Why do men after a soda treatment say, I feel young again? Because youth is not an age, but a feeling of lightness, freedom of movement, and inner tone. And soda, when used correctly, allows you to regain just that, without hormones and adrenaline, just a physiological relaxation of the pelvic muscles, elimination of stagnation, and restoration of natural blood flow. This is what doctors recorded during clinical observation in Moscow in 2014. Men who underwent a 10-day course of sitz baths with soda experienced a 40% reduction in feelings of internal tension and 70% regained morning erections, an important indicator of overall male health. Let's consider the story of Nikolai from Tyumen, who is 55 years old and was a builder. After spinal surgery, he had almost come to terms with everything being over, but his wife found information about soda. He started with evening baths for 15 minutes. On the 6th day, he felt for the first time in a year that his body was obeying him again. 2 weeks later, he said, I can't believe it, but I feel young again. It's not magic. It's a body finally allowed to breathe. But what if you completed the course and the effect disappeared in 2 weeks? Perhaps you missed one key step without which the results do not solidify. What to do if you have tried everything, but soda has not appeared in your arsenal? You have tried supplements, pills, exercise machines, diets, and all of this has been in vain? In fact, the solution may be simpler than it seems. Not because soda is magic, but because it works where other methods fail, in the area of chronic muscle spasms and stagnation. This is confirmed by urologists' practices. In clinical studies of 2018, men with persistent mild potency issues, who did not respond to standard medications, reported a subjective sense of control and comfort improvement after a combined course of taking a quarter teaspoon of baking soda in the morning and evening sitz baths, with 60% noticing changes within 7 days. Let's consider the story of Maxim from Khabarovsk. He is 39 years old, an entrepreneur. He underwent a full examination, and all results were normal, but his body seemed to refuse to obey him. In despair, he decided to try what he thought was his grandmother's baking soda. He started with baths. By the 5th evening, he felt something inside soften. After 10 days, the sense of connection with his body returned. Baking soda cannot replace proper treatment, but it can open a door you thought was long locked. Now, the most important thing is how to start correctly so as not to cause harm and achieve a real effect. We will talk about this right now.